Are you part of a nonprofit organization, a youth group looking to raise cash for your cause? Stay tuned at the end of this video to learn how you can bring the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation to your town live, featuring the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Portland. On Saturday, August 31st, feel the thrill of WWE Live.
The age of Rollins is here.
And we are going to burn it down.
See Seth Rollins collide with Baron Corbin for the Universal Championship. Plus, Becky Lynch takes on Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Championship. And don't miss AJ Styles and Braun Strowman. It's WWE Live on Saturday, August 31st. Tickets and WWE Superstar Experience packages are available.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marotti, joined by this all-star crew as the summer begins. First of all,
Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
And Matt Degnan.
hell of an introduction for you.
I don't have much to bring. I mean, yeah. I don't have much to bring in terms of resume. I'm only 19 years old. So
you really like to push that you're 19 years old. Why is that? Do you think you're going to get more over because you're younger? Do you think people are going to have more respect for you that you've joined this panel at such a young age?
It shows that I have a lot of room to grow.
Who you doing your apprenticeship with?
ESPN.
Then why you don't say that?
I do stats and analytics, and I also work for Fightful.com
well,
as well.
Why you don't say that? Just add that in. That's what he wants you to say. You only tell it just your name. You're not telling what you represent.
Put yourself over, brother.
What do you represent? You represent who you...
ESPN and Fightful.com.
That's what you said. Now announce your name again and say, I'm apprenticeship with... Go ahead.
ESPN and Fightful.com.
And your name is?
Matt Degnan.
Will you remember his name at the end of the show, Tony?
You got to recognize where you're at in order to know where you're going. If you can't recognize your accomplishments now, you want to recognize them in the future. That is a compliment. Everybody don't get that job. You got that job. You keep it in a secret. Stop doing that.
We don't like secrets on this show.
No, you got to expose yourself.
Well,
this is expose. Expose here, baby. So there, when you announce yourself, announce what you know who you are.
Didn't know what I could say and what I couldn't say.
You got to say whatever you want. Yeah, that's your introduction. You got to learn how to introduce yourself to people. Just say, I'm Matt.
I usually just say my name. I don't know how important I am. I mean, I'm sitting here with the Hall of Famer, and you've been doing this for 18...
People only see you as important as you see yourself.
Tell them, Tony.
If you don't see yourself as being important, they won't either. You the one that got to lay the floor mat for what people see in you.
No, what I always say is, if you can't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you?
Well, evidently you don't. You don't talk about yourself, just your name.
You believe in him, Tony, more than he believes in himself.
Yeah, I guess I need to introduce myself better.
Do you have a boost of confidence
now? You have a lot of accomplishments.
Yes, I do have a better boost of confidence.
3 Hall of Fames he's in, and he's putting you over. How about that?
You have to tell people who you are. They don't know. You're a stranger to these people out here. They ain't got a red ass.
You're getting to know them.
As long as I've been around, when I introduce myself, I say I'm Tony Atlas, WWE Hall of Famer. There might be people that don't know that.
Bodybuilding Hall of Fame.
People ain't gonna know that. A lot of people, like you said, you wasn't even born when I was wrestling. A lot of people, so I could walk into any place. They say, "Hey, who is that? Some little kid?" I was at a convention and really shocked me.
Yeah.
I pulled out a picture of me press slamming Hulk Hogan, and the father was standing there. Said, "Yeah, he beat Hulk Hogan." The little kid looked at his father and said, "Who's Hulk Hogan?" And I thought I would never hear that. I got another picture of me and Muhammad Ali, and I heard it the first time from a black kid. I was down in St. Louis, Missouri, about 10 years ago, and I gave him a picture. And I said, "You know who that is, don't you?" And she said, "Well, that's you. Who's that guy?" I said, "That's Muhammad Ali." I said, "You never heard of Muhammad Ali?" "No." Because like Dan was saying, there's so much out there. There's so much out there. In the older days, you could mention one name, and it went around the world, that one name. Now, Like we have movie stars. We don't have movie stars no more. You watch a movie, you can't know who the hell played in it. I mean, we knew John Wayne. We knew Humphrey Bogart because there was movie stars, and it wasn't it wasn't that much competition out there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it is with now. Now you have to promote yourself more now than you ever had to do it in the past. When Arnold Schwarzenegger became Mr. Olympia, he didn't have to say a word to nobody. He didn't have to go say, "Hey, I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Olympia." The whole world knew.
On a roll, baby.
Now Arnold Schwarzenegger, if somebody wins up Mr. Olympia, like right now, who's Mr. Olympia now?
Yeah, I forgot. Someone's
Nobody knows
motto
who
we
Mr.
said,
Olympia is now.
my goal in life is to never introduce myself.
So you want me to introduce you?
No. Oh. Someone, I forget who said that, but someone famous, I forgot who it was. They said their goal in life is to never introduce themselves.
They didn't have to, they were famous.
Yes, that was their goal in life, was to never have to introduce themselves.
That's
So should I introduce you too?
Yeah. Just like I would never lay on the beach for suntan. Then should you take that advice? See my point? Each individual got their own thing. You have to go with what is right for you, not what's right for someone else. That may work great for Joe. Just like I could take you to the gym and have you to do heavy weights, 5 sets of 5, and you get big get big muscle. I take Dan in the gym, 5 sets of 5. He probably won't get it, but I may have to do 5 sets of 10 to get him to grow. Because of all the people God will put on earth, there have never been one person put on earth with the same fingerprints or the same DNA. So everybody got to do things on an individual basis. You can learn from other people about things, but don't apply what they say to you, because what they say that works for them may not work for you. Some people grow in the gym from doing low reps and high weight. Other people, Arnold Schwarzenegger, always worked out light. It was light to me and other people, but when he squat, he never went over 400 pounds. When he benched, he never went past 350. He saw me bench press 500 one day. He said, "How do you build that chest?" I said, "I did a lot of reps with them, ran 315. Yeah. He said, "If you could build a chest like that with using 300 pounds, why in the hell will you ever take a chance of doing 500 and hurting yourself?" To him, that was ludicrous for me to even try to lift 500 pounds. It didn't make sense to Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he was the best bodybuilder in the world. But lifting 300 pounds worked great for Arnold. With me, I feel like I wasn't working out. We are two different individuals. So when you're in the world, when you get a chance to explain yourself to the general public, you want to tell them as much about you as possible. Because your name, they may forget your name.
I don't think he's going to forget this.
Yeah, I'll never forget this.
Well, people will forget your name as soon as the show is over with, because you're not giving enough information to focus on you. But if you said that you doing your apprentice with
ESPN and Fightful, yeah,
see what I'm saying?
Next time I introduce,
because you don't tell nobody.
Next time I introduce myself, they'll know my birthday, my blood type.
No, now you're being sarcastic. You know why they never send a mule to school? Because nobody like a smart ass. Remember that too.
Hall of Famer.
When somebody try to help you, don't shit in their face. You treat them with respect, because they're trying to help you. That's how I learned.
All you do is help people, brother.
Well, yeah,
You're a very
but some
giving
people
man.
will throw it back in your face, too.
There's only one man in professional wrestling that I know is giving, and that's to himself. But
You're
that's
doing an apprenticeship.
different time.
You're doing an apprenticeship with one of the biggest TV stations in the world.
Yes.
That's
you
part
built
of
him
you
up,
now.
Tony. I think you
Well,
boosted his confidence.
right? That's part of him.
He's going to be trying to get some ESPN rats now.
I was Mr. USA back in 79, 80, and 81, but you think I'm not going to tell him about that now?
You got to.
I'm going to tell him. Tony Atlas, Mr. USA.
It's your resume, baby. All right, wrestling fans, let's get to the nature of the beast here in this episode.
They may forget your name, but
the
they remember your
wrestling business right now is in a rough shape. WWE's popularity down across the board. We're going to talk about that. Ring of Honor right now, the interest, it's so bland, it's down across the board. Attendance is going down. Impact, TNA, however you refer to that company, it is struggling to stay alive in a lot of ways. But it is a good thing it is. The quality of the show has increased. It's really not doing much business-wise. You have other New Japan trying to break into the United States. I don't know how much major interest there is in that. But the one thing that people are buzzing about beyond independent wrestling, which is certainly growing, which is great for us, thanks to Triple H and NXT over the past few years, it's made independent wrestling cool again, is an offshoot of that. you have the new group, All Elite Wrestling. Tony, we spoke about it several months back. You gave some advice to the owner of the company, Tony Khan. They've done phenomenal business in small doses. They've sold out their Las Vegas pay-per-view.
And I gave them advice?
Gave them advice.
And they still in business?
There you go. They're still
How
in
the
business.
hell did that happen?
Sold out Las Vegas Memorial Day weekend within minutes.
And what was the advice I gave them?
You have to watch the show again,
I
Tony.
sure
We can't
do.
give away too much. Click on the link. We'll throw it up there from the first
Oh.
episode on AEW. They had a Fan Fest Starcast. They sold 11,000 tickets to a Fan Fest. That was bigger than the WrestleCon.
Why didn't they book me if they took my advice?
I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to ask Tony.
There was no collusion.
There was no collusion.
No collusion.
All right. But Tony, they have pay-per-view All Out the end of August. It's a big month between SummerSlam and All Out. Chicago sold out within minutes. Starcast 3 in Chicago is going to be big. What's going on? Why do people want All Elite Wrestling so much?
It's a fly-by night.
Why is that?
A lot of things people would run through at the beginning, but the thing that none of these companies got is what they call a foundation. See, we got Bruno Sammartino. We got Andre the Giant. WWE got what they call a foundation, because when you sell any product, all businesses are the same. The only thing different between one business and another business is the product. But to get people to believe in your product, you have to do something to get them to believe in your product. Well, for years and years and years, people believe in the product of the WWE.
Well, selling out these two venues within
Well,
minutes.
yeah, that dude is a shooting star.
And it's led to them getting a tremendous primetime television deal on
but
TNT
all of that,
starting in October.
All that is what I call a shooting star. Here's the reason why.
All right.
The guys that they have don't have the background and the believability, let's say, as an Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan or Bruno Sammartino. So when you meet them in real life, it's almost like meeting average people. They don't have that.
The look has changed.
Yeah.
The feel. They don't look and act like pro wrestlers.
Yeah.
They're more of superstars.
Yeah, thank you, kid. That's what I'm saying. Because when you see a wrestler, I mean, when somebody say, we draw a wrestler, you don't come up with a 180-pound guy with funny-looking clothes on.
They don't look the part anymore.
I can't go with Kofi Kingston being champion, because if somebody saw him in a bar or something, I mean, my God,
It's an average-looking guy.
Yeah, he's going to be the laughing stock of the freaking bar. Look at that little pig squeak that made him freaking champion. But you see somebody like, Triple H there, he's a very impressive-looking guy. You impressed, as old as I am, people would look at me and say, damn, look at his arm. I'm an old man.
Even if they don't know who you are.
Even if they don't know about you. The people want to be impressed. They don't want to see something that they can see every day. And these guys look like, my wife said, to put it best, she said they look like a bunch of kids playing to be wrestlers. Now that is
I agree with that.
That is the people at the beginning. But what happened is no substance to it.
And I agree with that.
See, WWE got substance. Just like that book you got behind it, War 25 Years. 25 years, this guy got the top rating in the world. That is not going, it may slow down a little bit. It's going to have a sticky point, everything does. Just like you get a car, once in a while you're going to get a flat tire, or you need to change the oil. The car is not going to run perfect every day. You're going to have your slow period. But it's longevity. Everybody's going to look good at the beginning. It's kind of like being a tough man contest. Everybody look good the first round.
Yeah.
The first round, they all look good. But then around that third round, see
It's like
what
me
they
after
do.
the third episode of one of these
Exactly.
tapes.
See how they do. See how they do a year from now, and see what they all doing wrong. In my opinion, there's nothing original.
You don't think they're doing anything different out of the box?
With the damn storyline, no. Once you do storyline,
Well,
you're a
let's be
copycat.
fair, you haven't seen their two pay-per-views, I'm going to guess.
I don't want to see them.
Well, don't you want to see the group succeed?
They're
No.
actually good pay-per-views.
You don't want to see them succeed.
No,
Why?
and I did not read the Mutter report like most America, but I still got my opinion on what happened.
But you don't want this company to succeed.
No, I didn't say I don't want them to see. I just think that what is happening now, you have to wait and see how it plays out maybe a year from now. Because people, yes, people are looking at it now as something exciting and new to look at.
Yeah.
But then people are creatures of habits. So eventually they're going to get bored with that too because they want to use storyline. And what I found out, that what hurt WCW. When WCW was stuck into their own roster, they was beating like Nitro, and they would beat the hell out of Vince, remember? But then they went along with Vince with the storyline. I saw Cody Rhodes stand in the ring talk for 30 minutes. I said, they're doing the same stuff that people they're trying to find something different than the storyline. They don't want arrangement no more. That's why all America loved Donald Trump, because he broke that cycle of, good evening, my name is Tony Atlas, and I'm going to be the next president of the United States. I got tired of that. They want a guy to come and say, hey, give it to him, knock him out, I'm one of you pussy head geek. That's what they wanted to see. They want to see Captain Lou Albano out there hollering and screaming to the top of his lungs again. Because
that's the secret to get wrestling hot again, is Lou Albano.
Because you look at all the wrestlers, what this program you keep telling me about, what separates one from the other? Nothing. Once you saw one match, you see them all. Once you saw one interview, you see them all. They all look alike. They all talk alike.
And the gimmicks as well.
All the gimmicks are similar.
Yes.
Everybody is similar. If you saw one match, you see no. Like I say, it's good at the beginning. It's kind of like a woman you meet in the bar, and she looked good without the couple of drinks. Yeah, she looked fantastic. You have a couple of drinks, and she looked great. You wake up in the morning, ooh, what the world did I was thinking? That's how they're going to do with this other rap, because Vince got...
That's why he was so late today. He found himself in that situation.
A house built on sand cannot survive. And here's another kicker, too.
All right, let's hear it.
Vince make one phone call. I guarantee you, I bet anybody out there dollars to donut, that if Vince make one phone call to any wrestler there, they're gone by tomorrow.
Dean Ambrose turned down a gigantic offer from WWE to go to AEW, leaving WWE as the main eventer to become one of the top stars there. Chris Jericho turned down an offer from WWE
because they
to go get big money from there.
They were about over.
What's that?
Nobody want to care about them.
Well,
because when they come to AEW, they feel newer and more fresh. But if they stayed in the WWE, it just would have been the same thing.
That was a smart move on their half. Once a book been read is old, they knew that the contract was over pretty soon anyway.
Do you think it gives AEW credibility to sign?
No, because you're getting Vince leftovers. They already been seen. Same thing with Hogan. He didn't boost the WCW went. With all these companies Hogan went to, he was a big star with Hogan. But Vince don't got out on what he done did. It's leftovers.
Yeah, what?
It's leftovers, bro.
Like they ran their course.
Seen that. Well, what is Dean Ambrose going to do there that they ain't already seen? Name one thing he's going to do that they ain't already seen.
He feels he's going to be able to work as with more creativity than he was.
He wants creativity. He don't need every freaking move in the world.
He feels he wasn't able to portray himself the way that he thinks he could be best utilized.
It's funny because when
he says Vince is the problem with WWE right now. We did an interview after signing with AEW.
With Stone Cold.
What if Vince What if Vince had never booked him? What would he have been doing then?
Who knows?
That's the problem with them young whippersloppers today. They got no appreciation. Vince made him. He was a nobody before he met Vince. He would have never been. Nobody is nobody to work for Vince. I don't care who you work for. I'm sorry, I'm going to just lay right on out there and tell you, I knew guys like Wahoo McDaniels, guys like Ernie Ladd, Paul Jones, a lot of great wrestlers, great wrestlers. Yeah. Nobody know who the hell they are. Now, Wahoo McDaniel was probably one of the hardest wrestlers anywhere in the world. Nobody knew who Dusty Rhodes was until he went to WWE. Nobody knows you take go WWE.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, he certainly wasn't a household name.
No, he was not. Like he was until he went to WWE. That's when he really became somebody. If you never worked for Vince, these kids don't know you. Because they established. It's kind of like McDonald's. And Burger King. You go up a great hamburger, like the guy with his brother is an actor. He got the hamburger joint. Me and you should go to. Yeah, I want to get. You should get one of them burger. I've been wanting to go there ever since.
He was just near my house a couple weeks ago doing some promos for the restaurant, the new restaurant there in Trumbull, Connecticut.
Yeah, see, he got great burgers. But if somebody said, "Where can I go get a great burger?" This kid's name is not going to come up.
Right.
Even though he may have a butter burger than McDonald's. When somebody bring up a hamburger, they go say, hey, let's go to people go with what they're affiliated with.
It's also easier to promote something today with social media.
Sure yeah.
You could put something over 10 times better than
it's
just,
hard.
you know.
See, Vince got in at the right time. He got in where he had no competition in the wrestling world. Yeah. Now you go on the wrestling website, you see this group, that's why I said that group. If you know many times and you mention that name, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What are you talking about? Oh, AEW?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You see what I'm saying? Because people only know what they know. They know McDonald's, they know Burger King, they know Kmart, they know Walmart. They don't know, what, a Whataburger?
Wahlburgers.
Not yet.
Which is actually pretty good.
In order for these guys to get established, they got to put in the time for establishment.
I like Five Guys.
The way Vince put in the time for establishment. So like I say, they may be doing good now, but I guarantee you dollars to donut, your report on them going to be a whole lot different next year.
Well, you got to remember, Tony, in October it becomes a scenario where as opposed to these random live events here and there.
Pay-per-views, yeah.
They're going to have weekly TV that everyone can critique.
But see, here's the kicker. Well, here's the kicker.
Well, let's hear it, Tony.
40% of wrestling fans for the WWE still believe that it was for real. That's the difference.
When?
Now? I hear people tell, yes.
If people think it's real.
People tell, well, I'm just saying my experience. I go everywhere. I tell you what people say to me. All I could do, I'm just a messenger.
You're trying to tell me.
They would say, Tony, I remember you used to, and you talk to Axe Demolition, or in the old time they would tell you the same thing. They would tell you that people used to come to us, and they would tell me, I remember you used to wrestle when it was for real. That's why they like the old time, because we try to make it look for real. We try to put legitimate.
You didn't make it as much of a show.
It was not a show. We try to make it as legitimate as possible.
Credibility.
And that's how you
not as much soap opera-y, talkative.
Right. And so when they look at us, they look at us as wrestlers. These guys that you coming up now, they look as entertainers. They don't see them as wrestlers.
Boys.
You see, when somebody, not bragging about something, when somebody saw Tony Atlas in the heyday, they believed that what I said, or when they saw the Sheik in his heyday, they believed in what the Sheik said, because they knew he could do that.
Right.
When Kim Patero said something, they believe in Kim Patero because when they look at him, they knew he could do that. When Dean Marlboro tells you something, they know it's a freaking show. Because they know he couldn't whip away a wet paper bag.
And he's admitted to as much.
Well, that's my point. He don't look the part. People don't want to see a guy out there pretending to be something that they're not. When you go out there and say you're a tough guy, people are looking at you.
All right, no, pause for a second. This is interesting to me. Who right now in Major League Wrestling do you feel has the credibility that you've described? Is there anybody in WWE, anybody in TNA, anybody in AEW?
It's a lot of them. Undertaker, Triple H, Big Show, Mark Henry.
Every guy you just mentioned is pretty much done.
Well, no, but I mean,
what regular guy right now that's on weekly TV has the credibility?
They got guys coming like Sheamus. I mean, if you see this guy in real life, you're going to believe this guy can whoop your ass. I mean, come on.
I've met him in person.
Yeah, no doubt. John Cena, when you see that son of a gun in real.
Another one that's pretty much
That's
done.
what I'm trying to say.
I'm talking about regulars right now.
Well, I'm talking, you want me to talk about what Vince got that they don't got. The guys coming up now where people see that. See, this is what Johnny Weaver taught me this. Johnny Weaver said, I have to work my butt off, Tony, to get over with the people. He said, all you got to do is walk through the curtain, and they believe in you.
Credibility.
The credibility. These guys don't have that. I mean, they look like a bunch of kids. Skinny.
I mean, look at the Young Bucks. They are great athletes, but they're not anyone that's going to impress you if you meet them in person.
That's where the problem comes in at. Where the people go.
And do you want to see it every week?
You don't know what they can do until they step in the ring and get the motors going.
And nobody can believe in what. When you watch wrestling on today, what is the difference between a wrestling show and what they call the Power Rangers or Donald Duck?
Cartoons?
Donald Duck. Where the Coyote and Roadrunner. Yeah. Where they drop a big rock on the Coyote.
That's what WWE is to you right
now?
now?
No, not WWE. These other new groups.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because
the Lost is the art of selling.
When Jimmy Snooker came off the top rope and splashed you.
You believed
it.
You believed it. Because the man didn't get up.
Because he was down. Now a guy hits 3 finishers and someone still kicks out.
I think the lack of selling is hurting big time. And not just here, but in a lot of places.
Right, and because they all try to follow what Vince do. See, promotion, all business say, you know, I was in the drug world for a while.
Yeah.
A drug dealer would do this. He would give you the good stuff at first. Then you get hooked.
So you think that's what's happening right
That
now?
is- wrestling and drugs.
That's why Vince could
Right
do everything he wanted, because Vince built, his father built a solid foundation first. It built on a rock. WWE is built on a rock.
Yeah.
Everybody know. That's why I told you, you think it's nothing, but who don't know about
ESPN.
Who don't know
You
about
can't
that?
even remember the name
Everyone.
of it, but yeah, everybody
That's what I'm
remembers
saying. It's a very popular
Fightful.com,
station. Right.
yeah.
So you can call your name all you want.
Man,
Nobody.
Damon.
I know no one knows about me.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
only
other
reason-
than my
the only reason I'm
750
sitting-
followers on
Hey,
Twitter.
the only reason
How
I'm
many?
sitting.
750, but
Hey.
Instagram I have 1,800 followers.
Yeah,
So
Well,
the only reason I'm
1750
sitting here
abroad,
with Dan and still making money as a senior citizen. Nobody talked to me hardly about WCW. Nobody talked to me about NWA. Nobody talked to me about bodybuilding. Nobody talked to me about. Every time I sit at this table with Dan or any interview I do with anybody, it's about the WWE.
because
We're
that's
not
here,
talking
the
about
others are
them
here.
right now.
Yeah, but you know what I'm trying to
Yeah, I
say.
get you, I get
I mean,
you.
occasionally we may
Yeah.
go off subject.
Right.
But
well,
the only
Occasionally,
Every
occasionally.
episode we go off
Occasionally.
subject.
Yeah, but my point that I'm trying to make is nobody
please, let's hear
care.
it.
Nobody care about what I did in WCW. Nobody
I
cared
care.
what I. Nobody. I mean, I do a lot of interviews, and it's always about WWE. Always. Nobody asked me about Georgia
Well, I think the
Championship
problem
wrestling.
is
What
those
were you
were
in the
all-
longest, though?
I never stayed nowhere any long anywhere else. But the point of it is, these companies don't have, they're not established.
Yes.
People go by what they know. And another thing that people believe their eyes.
Yeah.
90% of what we believe is what you see. If you see it, you're going to believe it. When you see a guy walking with a championship belt on his waist, and they telling you this the toughest SOB walking the face of the earth, and you look at that guy and say, hell, my wife went to an independent show one time when she was 50. And I asked her to drive back home, and I said, what do you think about the show? She said, hell, I can whoop half of them guys. She's going by what she see. Not what you're trying to show them, not what you're trying to preach to them.
That's
not
accurate.
It's what you see.
Yeah.
I'm getting in the ring now with guys half my age.
Or
you know?
younger, yeah.
Or younger. And he's seen it. And people would tell him, oh, Tony Atlas going to kick your ass. Because I look like I could whoop him. He don't look like he could whoop me. Even if he can't, he don't look the part. It's kind of like when the John Wayne, he was great as a cowboy.
Yeah.
As a soldier, great. As a detective or anything like the shits. That's how it is.
Tony-
Clint Eastwood play a great tough guy, great serious role. But he can't play a comedy.
Yeah.
You can't put him in a comedy role. You could take what that comedian, I see him trying to play serious roles.
Kevin Hart?
sometime. I always thought he was a lousy actor. Got the big ear, the Prince of Ballet.
Will Smith.
Will Smith. People say they like his movie.
You don't know who Will Smith is?
I know who he
okay,
is.
okay.
But when I see
I didn't know
Will
he,
Smith,
I didn't know he did
Recognize
much
him by his
comedy.
yeah, but when I see guys like Bill Cosby, guys that was been labeled as comedy, and then they try to go into a serious role,
Yeah.
there's very
Doesn't
few.
work.
There's very few actors that could move from being a comedian into a serious role, because people see what they see. You know, your eyes going to tell you something. When you sit there, you know, with a guy, you know, no bigger than your finger, you got a lot of athletes. I mean.
You got to be really good if you're that
Right,
size.
I mean,
Yeah, you got to look the part and play the part at the same time.
If I take Serena Williams, the tennis player,
Yeah.
and put her in this corner, and put Kofi Kingston, Kofi Kingston in the other corner, the people
You
will
think
believe she can
Serena's
whoop
going
him.
to take Kofi out?
Because they go by what they see.
Kofi and Daniel had a baby.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying? We believe in what we see.
Yeah.
I can tell you a lot of stuff, but if you look at that stuff, you can say, "Oh, he's full of shit." 'Cause, look
We
at
got
that.
to ask the young prodigy, Tony. Have you seen either of the AEW events?
I've seen them, both of them, yes.
I have to say, with the most recent one, Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, there was a lot of room for improvement for most of it. But I will also say, keeping an open mind to it, that I enjoyed Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes and the Kenny Omega Chris Jericho match more than anything WWE presented WrestleMania weekend. So they have a few good things going for them. The rest of it, to me, is amateurish, was something that I couldn't imagine wanting to see on a weekly basis, and that's what I think is
You
going to
also
hurt
have to think
him.
is these talents, they've never been in the same locker room together, they've never been in the same ring together.
That don't mean nothing.
Tell him, Tony. Tell him about
Tell
that.
him.
Athlete. In fact, when I first started, we were never in the same dressing room together. Never. I never met my opponent until I got in the ring. That's how it was for years and years.
In his day, in case you don't know what the hell he's talking about, there was a baby face and a heel locker.
I know how that went, but I'm just saying the guys now, they're a lot newer. And some of these guys haven't been wrestling for more than 5 years, some of them, and some of them haven't had this spotlight like this before. Like, this is probably the first time some of these guys in AEW have ever been in a venue more than 500 people.
And the worst thing they do, they plan the match before they get out there.
That's another thing. They plan too much of it.
That's the worst thing. But this is what they don't. You have to know your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Their audience likes it so far.
I could do a great match in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And the people go nuts. Do the exact same match in New York and they'd hate it.
It's a different crowd and how they perceive it.
They're not the same people. When you go from one town to another, what you do in Philly is not going to work.
Because one guy might get one pop and the next guy, he might get a different reaction.
And Vince knows that. Vince knows that these guys, they don't know how to adjust to the audience. They follow in the strip. That strip worked great in North Carolina. It don't work good in New York. It don't work in New Jersey. That's why the WWE never really drew money down south, because they don't understand the mentality of Southerners.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when they were doing a Nitro, Dusty understood what the Southerners want. You know, he probably couldn't do good as a booker with Vince because he don't understand Northerners. It's like there's two things that this will separate a Northerner from a Southerner. There's two things Northerners hate to talk about: religion and politics. Up north, they don't like them subjects. Down south, that's the only thing they want to talk about. That's what they call it, the Bible Belt down there. And they love talking politics down south because they lost the Civil War. So they are determined never to let the government do anything without they having an input into it. So the South is very strongly in politics. The South is very strongly into religion. Whereas up north, religion, they don't want to discuss it, and they don't want to discuss politics. That's the difference between the North and the South. And so when you entertaining people, you have to realize you can't approach everybody with the same thing. And that's what these groups do. They do one product, and they want everybody all over the world to accept that product. But what the WWF had there, they had years to establish themselves, not just here, but in Europe, in Japan. I don't care where you go. They're going to talk about WWE.
It's like
they may
it's
be
demographic
losing stuff down because people are kind of going away looking at other things. But they eventually, it's kind of like being a cheating husband. No matter how many women he cheat with, he's going to come back to his wife because that's what he knows. That's what he was brought up on. It's in him.
What he's closer to.
It's in
what he's
him.
used to.
If the seed been planted, the seed be planted. The fruit may be different sizes every year. Some year you may have a tree full of apples. Next year, maybe the apples didn't come up, but that tree going to produce apples every year. It's an apple tree.
Let me ask you this. When Lanny planted the seed, did any apples grow?
Something else grow.
I don't know. All right, back to the AEW subject at hand. You over here, the prodigy. What have you enjoyed what you've seen so far from AEW?
I have
small,
enjoyed
tiny doses?
I think All In was better than Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing, well, Double or Nothing was the first true AEW pay-per-view.
They'll look back as that as the first event. Right?
Yes. But Double or Nothing still had its faults. Commentary was definitely a dark spot for that, but it was the first time those guys have commentated together. And some of them really didn't fit together. JR he hasn't been doing it as consistent. So they put him back in the booth after how many, months and years? Quite a bit. He's been delayed, I guess you could say. Yes. So that's also what has to be put into the commentary.
I think having your lead commentator under a mask in a gimmick, I think that takes away from his credibility.
That was kind of stupid.
Do you think a play-by-play guy should be wearing a mask, Tony?
Y'all proving my point.
Well, I want you to observe what we're talking about and then chime in.
No, I am. I want to respond to what y'all say. Y'all proving my point as y'all talk. When we talk about the WWF, for example, we talk about Hogan. We talk about established people.
Yeah.
When you talk about these groups, you just mentioned the group. but nobody knows them.
Right.
Nobody is established.
Well, they're building the brand right now, and they've done a great job so far kicking it off.
Right.
So far for the first event, they've done a really good job. I mean, you're not going to expect them to hit it out of the park the first event, but they did pretty well for a first event.
See, they have to wait until that one person come along. Like boxing. After Tyson, it died.
Because they brought in a lot of...
When the UFC first started, they had the guy, what was the guy that had the mohawk that knocked your butt out? Dan Cabot. And then if you notice, they don't have that. In football, you get your Jim Browns, you get your Tom Brady's, you get your Dan Marinos, and then all of a sudden you need that something to
that one
really
person again.
capture especially in the daytime, something to capture everybody's attention. Just like he was saying earlier, there was nobody in no sport during the late 80s and early 90s bigger than Hogan. Nowhere.
Maybe Michael Jordan.
That's about it.
Maybe.
But even then, that's what I'm talking about. They have to have this one person that step. See, WWE had many people to step forward to answer that call. These groups now, they're young, they're fresh. They had nobody to answer that call. Even basketball, the guy that got now is real good. LeBron James. But even then, he ain't struck and hit it like Michael did. He ain't hit it like Larry Bird did.
Because now there's too many stars. Back then,
no. It's not too many stars. It's just certain people got a certain thing about, like, Hogan was not the best wrestler we had.
Right.
He had the star power, though.
But it was just something about him. And these people only come around once in a while. And like Arnold Schwarzenegger, once he left bodybuilding, it died. They have more bodybuilders bigger, more impressive looking, but they wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger. They wasn't Lou Ferrigno. Once them two guys left the sport, now they're waiting on the next Arnold. They're waiting on the next Muhammad Ali. They're waiting on...
They've been waiting a while then, if that's the case.
And then with Tom Brady gone, football going to find itself in the same spot. Everybody want this one thing that they can lash on to. This one thing that they can hold on to. Just like nobody watched the tennis until the Williams sisters came along. Because nobody seen women, 6 foot, 180 pounds with arms as big as
giants.
These big, strong women. They never saw that before. So now, but they stuck. When you talk about tennis, everybody talk about, in the older days, it was the woman there, what was the name? She played against the guy that beat the guy.
Oh, Billie Jean.
Billie Jean. She was
yeah.
the big name, the female with the biggest name, and then the guy that called
Would you have let Billie Jean King walk on?
Oh, yeah.
While playing tennis.
And Arthur Ashe, he became a big star.
15
only because he got AIDS. No one really cared about his tennis.
Yeah, but where they liked him because he was black. He was the first black tennis player. So that helped him, Arthur Ashe, in tennis. But in every sport, you need what you call a drawing card. Is that one person that stepped forward. If Hulk Hogan had never stepped forward, Vince would not be as big as he was, because there was nobody. I mean, we all were drawing money. I drew money, but not like that.
Yeah, the person that you can put in front of the camera, in front of the people anytime, and they'll draw.
And they draw. I mean, they just got that. There's something about certain people, and these groups have not got that person. And another thing that they're going to hurt these groups too, and they ain't taking nothing away from Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes ain't going to never let nobody get bigger than him.
You think so?
He's just like his dad.
Well, he's one of many executive vice presidents in that company, which is kind of interesting.
They've got about 20.
I wouldn't have wrestlers in that role.
He's just like his dad. He learned from his dad.
And now Dustin's there too.
White like Florida's dad. Because Dusty Rhodes would not let anybody, I don't care how big a name you are, I don't care how much money you drew Dusty, if Dusty draw, let's say 20,000 people, and you draw 22,000 people, you gone in the morning.
That happened with you down there.
That's why Vince was so successful. Vince didn't wrestle.
Yeah.
Wrestlers make the worst promoter because they would let nobody get above. The Von Erichs did it. They would not let anybody get bigger than. That's how Vince ended up with the Ultimate Warrior, with the Dingle Warrior. But when Curry Von Erich came back, they stopped. They wouldn't even book him.
They didn't want anyone to even touch that.
Because he was bigger and more popular than Curry. So he had to leave and went to New York. and I left and went to Puerto Rico.
Right.
And because they didn't want anybody in that ring that was bigger and more stronger looking than Kerry.
Right.
And then Jerry the King Lawler did the same thing with Memphis. I don't care how good you did. I mean, Hogan was down south when he came up north. Hogan came to they would have never gave Hogan a break if it wasn't for Stallone.
Yeah.
That's where he got his break. Vince, I'd beat him. Everybody beat Hogan. He was a jobber, big, powerful looking. And when I wrestled him, and you listen to the tape real close, half of the crowd is cheering for Hogan, the other half is cheering for me. That's how he was. The people liked him from the day one, but the promoter didn't want to use him. He went to AEW after they left the movie, and Vern Gagne was the first person to give Hulk Hogan a break. He started selling out everything.
Did big business in Minnesota.
Did big business down there. And that's the only reason Vince brought him back is because he was the hardest thing in the wrestling world at that time. And that's the reason Hogan went back. But they had him first.
You could argue that the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega, they're the hottest things in wrestling. They got the buzz. My question is, are there enough people buzzing right now that are loud? Is it going to turn into a large audience once they're on weekly television?
My opinion, they're not going to test Vince in no type of way.
They don't need to touch Vince to be successful. All they need to do is turn a profit.
Even if you do a little bit under that, it's still good.
If everyone's hyped up about, oh, it's competition, it's competition. Let's say AEW goes on TNT and they do 750,000 viewers a week as they're starting their own new brand. 750,000 wrestling fans that weren't watching TV otherwise that night. If they're turning a profit at the buildings, if they're getting a reasonable cut of what they're going to generate from being on TNT, I think that's awfully successful, and it's going to give guys a very healthy income, Tony, especially now that Chris Jericho said they're looking at giving the wrestlers health insurance.
They're selling a lot of merch as well.
Yeah.
Very quick. Their merch is flying off the show.
They're looking at that 18 to 34 demographic that WWE has taken their Johnson out and pissed on for the better part of 20 years.
Now it's about the 5-year-olds.
It's the first round.
Exactly. I like the fact, I'll tell you this, Tony, I don't know if you'll agree, but I like the fact that there was blood. And lots of blood.
Oh, now they're going to get in trouble.
Why?
Because somebody going to end up with hepatitis, and they're going to sue the hell out of them.
Well, it was one match, and it was well done.
If you got health insurance.
Yep.
And they have health insurance.
Yeah, they have health insurance.
Somebody, you could get blood on a fan now, and then they want to sue you.
On the ref.
That's why Vince cut it all out. I saw a joke one time in the newspaper.
Let's hear it.
And with this big guy, as big as the Big Show, came up, 1,200 cc Harley Davidson, big boy bike. Parked his bike. A little bitty guy looked like Pee Wee Herman came over and kicked his bike over. And he walked up to the big guy and said, "What you gonna do, big guy? Beat me up?" The big guy looked at the little guy and said, "No, I'm not gonna beat you up. This is a nanny. I'm gonna sue you." Vince cut out a lot of stuff for a certain reason. Everybody is sue happy now.
So you don't think there should be blood?
I think you're playing a dangerous game in today's society.
I loved it.
I do too. I'm not against it. I do too. But they take it for a company that just got off the ground. They better have some damn good lawyers.
Well, they've got a guy that has more money than Vince behind him, so you can start
money
with
don't
that.
mean a lot of people blew their money with hiring people that don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, the guy that owns it, he owns the Jaguars. He owns a soccer
Vachon
team
family,
overseas, and then he owns a couple other companies as well.
Businesses that
and that's just the father. The son is wealthy too.
Now you never wrestle, right?
No.
Now when you sit and watch them guys he talking about, like say you talk about them guys there, what do you call them,
the Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks.
Yes.
And you saw them in person. Do you think you could whoop them? That's the key.
I don't know.
They don't have the credibility. They don't have the believability.
What kind of day it is, how I'm feeling.
I'm sorry?
Depends on what kind of day it is, how I'm feeling.
Oh, all right.
How much sleep I got.
How long you been out on the boat?
Yeah, but if you saw John Cena, I mean, you don't have to think
I've met John Cena before. I met his father, too.
Yeah. Now, you know you can't whoop him.
No.
You see what I'm saying? He don't need to guess at that.
Yeah.
He knows for first sight. Well, when you see John Cena, the last thing you would think on your man that you could whoop him. Brock Lesnar.
Who?
You meet him, are you going to think you can whoop that man?
Did I ever tell you about
freaking way.
When he laid me out at the hotel WrestleMania 20 weekend? Lesnar.
I didn't know that.
He punched you in the face?
No. I was late. coming to the Hall of Fame. My frenemy, Billy Graham, took good care of me. Lesnar wasn't allowed to go to the Hall of Fame because his next night was at WrestleMania 20 to go and do football. So I'm going in the roundabout to go in the hotel, running late, and all of a sudden the door smashes into me from behind, and I went face first into the other side of the door. I look up like, what the fuck? And it's Rena Mero standing there. She's going, oh, I'm so sorry. And he grabs her by the arm and goes, let's go. And he was trying to avoid autograph hounds and was in a really, really bad mood and smashed the door into me. And I went flying. And let me tell you, I don't know what I look like on television,
and you're a big man.
I'm a bigger guy.
People don't realize you're about 6'4". People don't know that.
Yeah.
So you're not a small man.
It took and I didn't have my injury at that point, so I was fully able-bodied, and I flew at that door. So there you go.
You see, Americans is looking.
I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Let us tell you how the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation can help raise cash for your nonprofit cause. Experience the action and excitement of the Millennium Wrestling Federation live in your city, throughout New England, the tri-state area, down through the Carolinas, out to our friends in the Midwest and beyond.
If your nonprofit organization is looking for an interactive turnkey experience while putting the fun into fundraising, you've met the perfect tag team partner to work with every step of the way.
The MWF offers a variety of packages for groups of almost any size, from our live events at the Boston Garden, the Kowloon Entertainment